Good morning, everyone. I am Sarah Nichols, and I am so thrilled to be in the incredible honor and privilege of welcoming you to this service today, to the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living in a brand new year. Oh my gosh. Aren't we all thrilled that that is the case? And you're being recorded. And you have the absolute, if you're here, if you're lucky enough to be here with us in this precious room, then you are being recorded and you have the absolute privilege to turn off your video and change your username if that makes you feel more comfortable. And I'm just absolutely thrilled. Hey, let's unmute. Everybody unmute your little button and let's greet each other. Let's say some words in the room. Woohoo!
Hi, Judy.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Hello.
Happy New Year!
Everyone.
Happy New Year!
Hi,
Oh
Patrick.
my God.
Hi, Connie.
Delight.
Hi, Patrick. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hey.
Look at everyone populating. All right, you can remute just to preserve the sanctity of the recording here. And yeah, so here we are. I am going to introduce someone that may need no introduction to the precious people in this room, but may very well need an introduction to the world that is watching this live on Facebook. And Debbie Putnam is many things. She is a mother, a wife, a practitioner. She is the lead practitioner of the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, and she is also a ministerial student who, before we know it, will have graduated from the Emerson Institute, and she will be a minister amongst us. Isn't that amazing? It is happening so quickly. And she has a minister's consciousness, and she is absolutely, when I was about this far in ministerial school, we called me a ministerial intern. So I'm going to say she's a ministerial intern, and she is our practitioner of the day. And she is such a good practitioner that she is going to do an invocation with her camera off in order to give you an amazing direct experience of the truth. I give you Debbie Putnam.
Good morning. Thank you for that marvelous introduction. Take a breath with me and feel the space, the all that is, around you and within you. There is one power, one presence, one infinite good, one all that is. One all that is. And I, Debbie, am one with this all that is. It is all that I am. And I know this for each and every one of us here, that each of us is one with the all that is. It is all that each of us is in every part of our being. We are the embodiment of infinite spirit, of infinite life, of the infinite treasure and truth of being. This is the truth of our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our souls, our spirits. The whole being of us is this being of God, this being of truth in the world. It is who we are as we go through our day. It is who we are as we embrace 2021, as we embrace this incredible new year with its gifts and blessings, as we open our hearts, our minds, our spirits to how we can serve, how we can be, and the gifts that we receive this year. Not that we will receive, but that we are actively receiving right here and right now. This new year now springs forth incredibly, sprouts like blossoms and leaves and the breath of springtime in our hearts and minds and beings. Every part of this being is all that we are. And so we now take this breath, this gale that is the new year, this beauty that is the new year, and we bring it into our lives in the most intentional way. And we also open ourselves to its good so that we expect the unexpected. Spirit is all there is, and that therefore wonderful things are happening. It is all the truth right here and right now. I spring forth into this new year with energy, with life, with power, with presence, with well-being, with joy, with cheer, with all that I can give to others and that I can give to myself, knowing that all that I give comes back to me multiplied. Knowing that I serve with grace and love. And this is the truth. I speak my word for each and every person here as we all go forth and serve ourselves, each other, and the world, as the world is a better place for it, as we bring in our whole Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living community and the community around us, all of our family and friends, Sacramento, California, the US, the world, as this world is a better place today, now in 2021. And we give our thanks to each and every person who contributes to SCSL, to our producer, Ruth, to our Reverend Sharon Dunn, and all of our ministers, Sarah, Patricia, our practitioner community, our board of directors, and each and every person who supports this center in their love in any way. This good is happening now. This blessing is happening now. It is true. It is so, and so it is. There is a power at work within us that is able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. Ephesians. Because everything changes rapidly around us, it is difficult to vision a changeless reality. This intellectual difficulty is met when we realize that change takes place within the changeless. The ceaseless movement of life is but a necessary complement of that which does not move. It is life viewing itself in action, that it may come into self-realization through fruition. There is a center in everyone that never moves. Ernest Holmes. The spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Eternal and progressive expansion is its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. It seems to me that our evolution is the result of the unfolding consciousness of that which already is, and needs but to be realized to become a fact of everyday life. I can believe in planes beyond this one without number, in eternal progress. I cannot believe that nature is limited to one sphere of action. But the person who goes deeply into his or her or their own nature will find that God speaks in a language more subtle than the human language, without a tongue, in that universal language of spiritual emotion, which is instinctive in humanity and in brute, and held in common by all civilization, by all creation, by all people who have lived. The universal language of emotion, sense, feeling, intuition, instinct. Sometimes we call it conscience. Sometimes we call it a hunch. Sometimes we call it a vision, a dream. It makes no difference what we call it. It is a direct revelation of omniscience through us. And now for our chant and meditation. Relax and join us.
alive in spirit. Spirit is alive in me. Spirit is in my breath. Spirit is in my body. Spirit is in my mind. As I breathe deeply, I align with the divine. Divine wisdom fills my mind. Divine vitality radiates throughout my body. Every cell, every muscle, every tissue of my body temple is absorbing and emanating divine, radiant energy. As I am filled to overflowing with this energy, it moves out from me, blessing the world, blessing all of creation. I am a center of divine wisdom, vitality, and grace. Anytime I forget this truth, I can return to my breath and my mind and my body temple. I can turn within and remember the love, the grace, the vitality of spirit. Spirit lives in me, as me, always. I celebrate this truth now as I allow the music to lead me into a space of contemplation. Bringing my attention back to my breath, I center my awareness in my divine vitality. I move forward from this place with a greater alignment with the divine. Every day, in every way, I am more and more alive in spirit, and spirit is alive in me. I am grateful. All is well.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Sing that with us. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Ooh. So, Happy New Year. So, can you believe we closed 2020? Woohoo! Can we get a shout out for 2020?
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
No, I'm sure 2020 will have continued to avail itself the wondrous lessons and blessings that it affords all of us. I'm sure we'll just keep on learning. And it's lovely to be in January 2021. We have a new annual theme, which is timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. Timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And it almost sounds like two themes, doesn't it? But in truth, you can't have one without the other. So if we're not grounded in timeless wisdom, we're not able to get into evolutionary vision. So we're going to combine those two all year long. And to me, this means a year of study, really, because what is timeless wisdom if not to study the great teachers of the world? And if we're not religious scientists, then who are we? That Ernest Holmes was a student of every great teacher, of every great scripture. He was absolutely immersed in timeless wisdom. What do we say? We stand on the shoulders of giants. And our giant, Ernest Holmes, was 5'3", which makes me feel really good because he would be tall to me. And our topic for this week is again timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. In the old days, when we had January topics, they were always going back to the first 4 chapters of Science Mind textbook. The Science Mind textbook was written by our founder, Ernest Holmes. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, but one thing I want to say is that we also have what we call Book of the Month. Now, it's been about a year that we have Books of the Month, as Reverend Patricia is our book diva. She orders all our books and reads every one of them twice. The books that we have this year looks like they've divided them, 2 books a month, into these 2 categories: timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. So when you see the books of the month, you see this idea that one book supports the basis, the grounding in wisdom, and one book then supports the evolution, the upward spiral that we heard about just a little while ago. The upward spiral, the forever expanding consciousness that we know we are. So the books of the month this month is number 1, that was Ernest, written by Reginald Armour, who was Ernest's fan. He was so smitten with Ernest from the time he was a very young Boy Scout until his death. He idolized the person called Ernest, and he idolized him for his consciousness and his way he was in the world. So this book, that was Ernest, written by Reginald Armour, is a really fun read. And as you can see, I have lots of notes and I've highlighted many, many things in here. I've read it, I don't know how many times, and I just read it again. Because you start reading this book and all of a sudden you're sucked into the experience that our teaching was created out of. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. What was going on? What was going on when Ernest Holmes was contemplating, reflecting, and writing the science of mind? What was going on at the time? So that's going to be super fun. The second book is called The Book of Soul: 52 Paths to Living What Matters by Mark Nepo. You know, I don't spend generally a lot of time on the books of the month, but I dive into them. And I really am excited about this book. I'm excited about the books this month. I'm excited about learning this year. I'm excited about this vision for us for this year, this idea of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. And, you know, I think that we all can live that personally. Isn't it time? Who is ready? Who is ready to literally create your life for reals, out of our teaching, out of what we know? Look, there's Patrick. I like his the best. He's like me. So today I'm going to talk about 3 things: timeless wisdom, duh, How about evolutionary vision? Duh. And then resolve to evolve. So I'm going to jump right in because I can't stand it. This has nothing to do with the sermon notes or anything like that, but I'm going to share my reading of That Was Earnest because I've had some ahas. I feel like in reading this book, I am once again sitting in the giant house on the hill where there was a commune, so to speak. Sarah would love this, where there was a collective living of all the Holmeses and the Holmeses and friends of the Holmeses. And that's Mother, including Mother Holmes, who lived to be 99 years old. And she was a guru within herself. So they all lived in this big house. Why? Why did they do that? What was going on at the time? So let's dive into that. What was going, and this kind of chokes me up. What was going on at the time is just what's going on right now. What was going on at the time is worse by far than what we're experiencing right now. They're coming out of World War II, where just American lives were over 500,000 lives lost. In World War I. Sorry, World War I. I'm trying to get my history straight because I wanted to feel what was going on in the consciousness, in the race consciousness. What we call race consciousness is like all of us together. It's a collective consciousness. It's a group consciousness. It's the human race consciousness. There was a war going on, hundreds and thousands of lives lost. So here we are imagining together what it was like for Ernest Holmes coming up during that time. So I'm going to start with the Dictionary of New Thought. This is all in the book today. The dictionary calls New Thought a mental healing movement. Now think about this. Why would we need a mental healing? Why was that popular? What was going on to our mentality? Okay. Embracing a number of small groups and organizations devoted generally to such ideas as spiritual healing, the creative powers of constructive thinking, and personal guidance from an inner presence. Why would we need this? Why would we need this? So we go on. We go on to 1916. I know you're familiar with these dates. Think about 1916. This is during the war, okay? World War II was from World War II. I keep saying World War II. World War I. Okay, because I'm trying to get in touch with Ernest Holmes here. Are you interested in this with me? Because this is incredible. In 1914, from 1914 to 1918 was World War I, where hundreds and thousands of lives are lost. Okay, so one thing all the brothers did, there were 9 brothers, Holmes brothers, some under 5 feet tall. just so you know. Ernest was 5'3", and he was one of the tallest. But there were 9, and he was the youngest of 9, if you can imagine that. One thing all the brothers did agree on was the need for uplift. This is really important, guys. This is where we are today, isn't it? what is it that we really, really looking forward to, if not an uplift? That's kind of an understatement, an uplift. So by 1916, the turmoil of war in Europe was felt worldwide. Turbulence in the material world only reflects the turmoil of the spirit in the inner world, mused Ernest one evening after supper. And then down a little ways. Now, this is really mind-blowing, I thought. Taking their philosophy even further and applying their ideas on healing, they started a sanitarium at Long Beach with nurses and with practitioners using spiritual mind healing as outlined in Ernest's first book. Now, you ready for this? Creative Mind, published in 1918. So let's look at the dates. World War I, 1914 to 1918. Do you understand when he was writing his book, Creative Mind? The most god-awful thing was happening in the world, and he knew the truth. And then I want to move into Creative Mind, 1918. What else happened in 1918 when Ernest was writing the Creative Mind, publishing Creative Mind? The pandemic. The pandemic, 1918 to 1920. Do you understand that what was happening then is happening now? That these books, that we stand on the shoulders of giants, they were living the circumstances, conditions, and situations that we're living. That the teachings that they were teaching, the sanitarium that they were seeing clients, seeing patients, seeing people, what was during the same situation we're in. Here it says, Ernest Holmes was facing all of these situations, and people noticed that there was only one thing going on for Ernest, and that was the reality, capital R, the truth. That he spoke the truth, the reality into all of it. So I imagined that. He wasn't, and we don't read about pandemics and war, do we? We do not read about what was going on in his life at the time he was writing his books and teaching his religion, philosophy, and science in the world. And that really, really got to me, because I was thinking, if you have a diagnosis or a prognosis or a situation or a circumstance or a condition, we don't heal ourselves from that condition. We're not healing conditions. We're not giving attention to conditions. We're not saying, I can heal this pandemic, this cancer, this marriage, this dissonance, this whatever it is. We're not healing that. We're not healing anything, any appearance other than the truth, which is that there's nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. Now, this is important, because I think what happens when we get informed that we have a situation, or that we have we get informed, we get informed that we are something that isn't the truth of who we are, which is really good information. It's good in information, but we have to recognize it's not the truth of who we are. I know this sounds simplistic, but it's imperative that we never work with the appearance. We never do that, because if we're working with the appearance, we are creating appearance. We are not working with World War I. We are not working with the flu of influenza. We are not working with COVID-19. We are not working with divorce. We are not working with I've lost my job. We're not working with I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. We're not working to heal any of that. We are working with timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. Does this make sense? If you hear me, this is really important. I really got in touch with our teacher today, and I realized that he was working through all of the situation, circumstance, and condition that was going on at the time. And remember, in the science aspect of it, it was at that very time where quantum physics came into form. So there was a lot going on. There was the war, the pandemic. Well, wait a minute. And then, just like we're doing right now, we're coming out of the pandemic. And what happened when in 1920, the pandemic ended for them and the roaring 20s came and they went bananas. We're talking like crazy. Like, right? I think everybody got out of shelter in place and put on their fringe and went, whoa. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but it could be something very similar. However, it wasn't long into the 20s when the economy started to crash. Now we're talking about crash. We're talking about the great crash. We're talking about the stock market crash of 1929 that contributed to the Great Depression. This is where, for 10 years, the industrialized and non-industrialized countries in many parts of the world failed economically. Do you understand what I'm learning here? Is that Ernest Holmes was writing ferociously and teaching one thing. In fact, it says here, Ernest never deviated from his original inspiration and intent. Do you hear that? In fact, as I read over words that he wrote many years later, I find that he was saying the same thing in his last days on earth as he was saying when I first met him. There is only one reality, no matter what comes in. You know, how scared we get, how we believe our doctors or our politicians or CNN or NBC or Rachel Maddow. They are informing us. Okay. You know, I was talking to someone this week about what kind of news I watch. I think it was Dr. David Bruner's question of the day. He's been writing questions of the day for months and months now for us to ponder, contemplate, and talk to each other about. And it's been very rich. It's a wonderful connection. And he asked, what news do I watch? And I said, well, NPR is the news that I listen to. And then I enjoy the opinions of newscasters. such as CNN and MSNBC. I like to hear Fox News. I like to hear the opinions of the newscasters because they're not reporters. They're not reporting the news. They are contemplating the news and then giving their opinion of what they feel is the news. So they're reporting their opinions, if you will. And so we want to be very, very careful about our informants, whether they be a doctor that we highly regard, or whether they be a partner, or whether they be a boss, or whether they be an economist. Do you understand how we are influenced by the opinions of the newscasters? And we mustn't ever work religiously, spiritually, scientifically with opinions. We must never. We can extrapolate information. We can create hypotheses. We can be scientists looking at an outcome that we would like to have happen so we can create a thesis, right? I am perfect, complete, and whole. And then we can experiment and we can bring in different ways of experimenting with these ideas until we come up with an experiment that works, that's duplicatable, that's replicatable, and we can call that scientific process and progress. Well, that's what happened when Ernest Holmes came about. He took the same situation, circumstance, and condition, only worse, if you will, than we are experiencing right now. And he used a technique. He used the truth to uplift and change the experience that people around him are and were having. Is this as exciting to you as it was to me? Let me do another one. So he says, if reality wasn't changing, now take that in. Reality with a capital R does not change. Our body changes. Our circumstances change. We're not in influenza, we're in COVID. Our wars are different. Our conflicts are different. But what doesn't change is reality. And it's in that reality we do all of our work. It is in that reality that we breathe and live and have our beingness. Do you ever get confused here and think we are working with our circumstances and conditions and situations and give attention to them and say, I've got to fix this. I've got to figure out what to do about this. Do you see where that goes? Where that goes is more into that direction. We've got to be very careful here to not be influenced by what's going on. Here it is in 1924. He's lecturing, right, to 12,000 at a time. He launches the beginning of Science of Mind in a 52-week course. He publishes the Science of Mind in 1926. Do you see where this happened? This happened in the wake of the worst of the worst of our human experience. This happened in the wake of the horrific war, the pandemic, the crash, the Great Depression. And what did not change with Ernest Holmes? What did not change? What did not change is the reality. that lifted everyone. Ernest typically spoke of an infinite source of all good things and an abundance of supply. Can you believe this? 5'3" guy with no formal education gets up there talking to 10,000 people during the worst horrible human times and says, there is one source and one supply. There is one truth, and it is who you are, and you can use it. Now, did he ever say, now go take your diagnosis and go work with it? So, while others were talking lack or limitation, Ernest rose above all lack and all limitation and experienced the abundance of which he spoke. Do you hear that? He experienced the abundance of which he spoke. He experienced that which he spoke into. While everybody else was speaking into this or that, he spoke into the truth. And if we live there, what would 2021 look like for us? This is what's real. He wanted larger groups, not something that he shared with his older brother, and he had larger groups. He wanted larger groups because he had something to say. He was a messenger, a Messiah. He knew the truth. I'm just so excited to share this. On a side note, which has nothing to do with my talk, which I found very humorous in the book on page 49, was that he did not have the ability to sing. He was tone deaf. And, that reminds me a lot of my dad, because my dad was tone deaf. And what did my dad love to do the most? Sing. And Ernest Holmes loved to sing. So he got a reputation of being a drunk because he didn't sing well at all. And they thought maybe he had too much to drink. But actually, he was almost a teetotaler. Is there a lesson here that I'm trying to convey? Ernest Holmes had his own song, and he sang it. He had his own belief, and he believed it. And he experienced joy from his singing, abundance from his beliefs, and he watched as other people chose to do the technology, to live the science of mind. They too experienced healing, revealing the perfect life. When his wife to be, of course, he didn't know it was going to be his wife, Hazel, came out of her being a widow to a rebound marriage, if you will. She married on the rebound, and that was a disaster. So here we are, after the war, and a pandemic happened, and then the Great, Recession, or the Great Depression, and things were just very bleak, and you get hit with a rebound marriage. She came to see a practitioner. And who was that practitioner but if it wasn't Ernest Holmes? And Ernest Holmes changed her forever. She went into the client's session as one woman and came out another. Something shifted in her. Hazel's demeanor was entirely different when she came out from when she went in. I wasn't aware, she bubbled, that Ernest and I had met before. But do you know he told me I was the second person he met when he first came to California? And he landed in Venice many years ago. Isn't that amazing? And he has remembered me all these years. Aunt Gussie paid the fee for treatment, took her niece by the arm, and shepherded her out the doorway, all the while listening in wonderment. Do you know, she continued, that man is on some intimate speaking terms with the Father? Who of you are on intimate speaking terms with Papa? Because I highly suggest, if there's anything going on in your life, you turn away from the informant with gratitude for the information and lay it at the feet of Papa. Because it ain't true. And Papa knows what to do. I'll just bet he refers to him privately as Papa. She looked at her aunt, a mischievous gleam in her eyes. I think I'll call him Papa. Was she inspired? Was she reminded of the truth? Wasn't that all we need a lot of times, is to remember who and whose we are? It says here on page 72, when the artificial trappings of the material world are stripped away, people always return to their faith in the infinite, to that still, quiet center that has never been violated, that has never known hurt, that has never been scarred. And I'm going to go on, that has never been diagnosed, that has never been given a prognosis, that has never, ever, 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 ever been influenced by anything. Can you believe that? That there is something bigger than ourselves that has never, ever been influenced? That no matter what was going on during that time, Ernest Holmes was experiencing the war and the pandemic and the Great Recession and the crash. But he knew something bigger than himself that we can use was never influenced by any of that. How many of you have been influenced by what's going on? If you have been, raise your hand. If you have been influenced by what's going on around us, by what someone has told you, but by what something or someone has decided for you. The fundamental principles of science of mind are ageless and cross many spiritual traditions, because those spiritual traditions are all saying the same thing, whether it be the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, Buddha's teachings, the Bible. It's all the same. There is one thing going on here, and that one thing is creative, and that one thing is yours. It is yours. It is yours to use. Look at you. You're richer than anything. You're healthier than anything. You are nothing but principle, wholeness, peace, joy, prosperity. This is, to me, the best news of 2021. Are you with me? We honor our ancestry, but as I was honoring it mindlessly, and I opened this book, I realized that to be mindful is to know why I believe in what I believe, and to do studying of great works is part of my spiritual practice. I've read this book how many times? How many times have I colored it blue, colored it pink, put all these little, this, I don't know how old this little poor little piece of paper that's folded down is, but I read it for the first time now. This is the first time I've read this book, and it's the first time I've realized that Ernest Holmes could be alive right here and right now and not be daunted by what's going on. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've done that. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that pandemic." Good God. Goodness. So this whole idea of evolutionary vision is that we, as he says, I would desire that in our teaching there should never be any arrogance, for it always indicates spiritual immaturity to me. Others will arise who will know more than we do. They won't be better or worse. They will be different and know more than we do. Evolution is forward. And so, what he's talking about with this arrogance is for us to think we know. When he came up with open at the top, he didn't say, let's open at the top and change reality with the capital R. No, he's saying open at the top to experience more of that reality, capital R. He wasn't saying, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to think something completely different. I'm going to go way over here now. I'm going to go into this idea. There is no new idea. Jesus has told us the same thing. He was the first religious scientist. I suppose that could be blasphemy, but sorry. We'll just delete that out of the recording. The point I'm trying to make is he said the same thing. It's done unto you as you believe, and there's one thing. There's love. There is the one creator creating creation, and you're it. You are the offspring. It is in you. You are that. That is. Does it say anything about any condition, any circumstance, any pandemic, any war, any political divide, any electoral college? It doesn't say any of that. It says there is only one, and that one loves you, and that one wants you to love everyone else, and that one is powerful. And what do you want in your life? How about you make it happen? Oh, I know. More abundance. Oh, I know you have a vision for your life. How about we go with that? We're not here to go, oh, yeah, this happened to me. In fact, every time something does happen to me, I'm thinking of Sarah, Reverend Sarah. One time, I always tell the story over and over and over again. Gosh, I was in my, I can't say that word. I was in my stuff. Shift happens. I was in the middle of a shift, and I couldn't shift. I was, it's kind of like one of those cars that you learn how to. I learned how to drive on my VW Bug. My father actually thought it would be a good idea if I learned how to drive a stick shift car in San Francisco. That would be a good idea. Like if you can drive your VW stick in San Francisco, you're going to be a good driver. No matter what happens, we can use it for information to correlate it with principle. We can match it. It's almost like we have a teaching. We have what we call timeless wisdom to stand in when things happen. And then from that, using the timeless wisdom, we can then evolve from what is happening into what we desire. This is this is an important thing to remember. This is what I'm remembering right now, is that I will not be influenced. I will not be influenced anymore by circumstance, condition, and situation. I will take that information and I will match it to the medicine that I need to transform it. And what is the medicine? It's the principles of our teaching. It is imperative that we remember what is our teaching. And so how do I do that? I go back into it. How many books has he written? Let's create some new classes this year, Patricia. Let's start, having these experiences where we dive deep into this teaching so that we remember. So we remember in all of this intensity all around us that there is something wonderful that transforms all of it into this evolutionary vision where we look to each other in love, in harmony, in service. Like, no one's full until everyone's fed. No one has equity or equality till we all have equity and equality. No one is outside or separated from us because love is all there is. There is only one culture. There's only one religion. There's only one world. There's only one politic. This is our vision, our shared vision from CSL in our ODM, in our vision. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life, a world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. Yikes. A lot of great minds sat around and created this stuff for us when we brought our two organizations together again. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. Now, what this does not say is we are the area of political, corporate, academic, and social. We're not saying we are that. We're saying actually where we use our teaching in those venues. And we know we must be careful with spiritual bypass or denial. What is spiritual bypass? Is to look at a situation, circumstance, and condition and deny it before we literally extrapolate, if you will, what information it has for us. It has come. What do you have to teach me? You have come here. What is it that you have to teach me? And better question is, what is it that I have to know? And so I go back to my wisdom, whether it be the Bhagavad Gita, if you're battling something. The Bhagavad Gita is the best scripture for conflict. Or you go to the Bible, or you go to Ernest Holmes, or you go wherever to Buddha for, oh my, that's a good one for me, walking the middle way. I have a tendency to be, so excited over here, and then, oh gosh and golly over here. Oh, then this happened over here, and then, oh gosh and golly over here. And, my sister really is the Buddhist, and she's the string on my balloon, if you will. There's many ways to dive into our timeless wisdom. But do not for one moment ever think that the thing in front of you that's showing up to inform you is the truth and the way and the life. Okay? Do we see this? This is really important. Well, it's important for me because I, again, always seem to have to be reminded of things. Are you like that? Are you like me where you have to be reminded of things? I don't know why I forget things, such as the truth of who I am. Oh, okay. And last but not least, here we go to resolve to evolve. I am in 2021 committed to evolve. I am committed to the evolutionary vision. I'm committed to this vision. I am a total groupie here. This one really got me. I said, "Oh, how many years have we been doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh no, wait a minute. I'm on board for this one. I'm on board for this one." Because there's something going on in my life right now that demands that I give my attention to what I need to give my attention to, and to be very careful and very mindful not to give away my power and become powerless because of what is happening in my life. So I ask you, what have you noticed about your spiritual arrogance? I know that's a tough question. I didn't like it. I'm not asking that. That's not a good question. But where does my opinion actually get in the way of the truth? And that, I'm sorry to say, happens a lot. And I appreciate you asking me to come back week after week. But I got to tell you, every time I come back, I got to tell you that there was a little time that week that I slipped into a hole where I totally believed what somebody was telling me over my God. Papa got sold out for and I will admit, Papa gets sold out for very little. It's almost like if it's glittery, my mind goes this way. If it's shiny, something shiny, some shiny object, Papa's over there, I'm over here. But really, spirit or whatever you want to call it must always be first and foremost, right? That's where we bring information to. That is our informant, our true informant. So have you had this spiritual arrogance in yourself? Has anyone here, please support me, even if you hadn't raised your hand, even if you haven't. Have you been influenced by something really big and scary? Right? Do you think Ernest Holmes wasn't scared when he was in a situation where there's 10,000 people looking at him and the whole world's crashing around him, and what did he say? There's only one power greater than ourselves that you can use. Kept saying the same thing over and over. Well, he also had a very fun life. He had he had wonderful health. He had a wonderful marriage, and he had a lot of parties, and he had a lot of famous people at his parties. He was a magnet. Isn't that a wonderful thing, to become a magnet for the divine? Like all those things coming at us, imagine that they can't stick to us, that we're not a magnet for those things, that we're a magnet for the divine. That every time we're looking at those things that are happening to us, we're going, oh yes, I know what to do. Oh yes. Oh yes, I am a practitioner of truth. Oh yes, I'm a minister of God's work. You're all practitioners. How about in your community? Have we had this spiritual arrogance? How about in our movement? Do I ever get mad at ministers on the listserv, Sarah? Do I ever stir up any trouble on the ministers listserv and get 117 people to respond to me, some with video pointing fingers at me? How can humility and curiosity be supporting your individual and our collective evolution? Well, it can be amazing. Humility means that we let go of what we know and we're ready and open, right? And our collective evolution is that we can affect and influence and, in fact, our global consciousness. If you want a pandemic, how about a principled pandemic? How about a pandemic of love and light and abundance and taking care of each other and no child goes hungry? I'm going to leave you with a little bit from the Sermon of the Sea, 1959. Now, he died in 1960, so you know this was at the very end of his life. He says, "It would be my desire that simplicity and purity and directness, that straight thinking should never depart from the techniques of our practitioners, or instructions of our teachers, or understanding of our lay people. It is the most direct impartation of divine wisdom that has ever come to the world, because it incorporates the precepts of Jesus and Emerson and Buddha and all the rest of the wise. And I would desire that in our teaching there should never be any arrogance, for it always indicates spiritual immaturity to me. Others will arise who will know more than we do. They won't be better or worse. They will be different and know more than we do. Evolution is forward. And so here's the thing, what will they know more of? What is he telling us? He's telling us that people will come along like he did, that has direct access to Papa and knows how to use it in the world and teach other people how to use it in the world. And they just know more about how to do that because it's an infinite source. And we can only know in directly proportional to our ability to know. And so, yes, someone's going to come along and know more. But if we just stand in that, there is only one thing happening here that is real with a capital R, that I work with, that I work into, that I take everything in my life, everything that's happening, everything that's said about me, and I lay it at the feet of that wisdom. I'm not working in that realm of effects. I am working only in the realm of the divine. No matter what. No matter what. Let us pray. And so we definitely have the opportunity for prayer requests to come into our website that will be prayed upon for a week by our ecclesiastic team. You can put a prayer in the chat. You can also come to fellowship after service, stay in the room, and you'll go into a breakout room for a 5-minute miracle with a practitioner or minister. And remember, what we're using spiritual mind treatment for is to treat, is a treatment for what's going on. It is not the truth of who we are, is it? It never says that. We're used treatment for what is informing us right now, for what is coming to us right now. And then what happens is we walk out just like Hazel did, totally in love, totally uplifted, never ever the same. And so we know that there's one power, one presence, one that created galaxies and universes, that there may be universes and galaxies that someone may know about in the future that we know not right now, because this is an infinite God. This is a powerful God. This is a spirit that is named by many names. It's called love and light and harmony and peace and joy, and all of these things that it is called is changeless, are changeless. They don't change. They don't get influenced. They don't, they don't degrade. There is a constant expansion of these principles, and they come into form in the experience of the human being. Thus, I know that I am that always evolving, always connected. So I have many names. My name is love and light and harmony and peace and joy and abundance and truth. I know that for each one of us. Amazingly, my mind can know this about every human being, every sentient being, every four-legged family member, every slithering, winged, every flower, every tree. That there is one, only one, and that these cyclical events called human life, these cyclical events that happen so infrequently that generations can forget about them and think that, oh my gosh, this is a brand new situation, a brand new life. There is only one brand new life in every moment. There is only one reality. And that power and that presence is creative. It is creativity itself. And it is what we are. We are creative beings. And so these cyclical events, these things that happen in the human life, it's like a wave in the ocean. It's not the ocean. We have one grand reality. And so I claim this year, this 2021 in the human experience is full of grace. That the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living grows exponentially beyond our wildest imaginings. That the children come, and the men come, and the aged come, and the babies come, and the animals come. And we come together in connection to remind ourselves always how powerful we are and how wonderful our life can be, no matter what appearances show. That there is a year here for us to experience beyond our wildest imaginings the power that we have at hand. Ernest Holmes always talked about it. There is a power greater than ourselves, and we can use it. And we use it for good, and we use it for love. And I give thanks for this prayer answered, knowing that I release my word into the law that I call Howie, because we don't have to know how God does God's work. We just know it's so. And we just let it be so. And so it is.
There's a creekside trail near where I stay. I go there and meditate most every day. The mirror of the water shows a changing sky. Fallen colored leaves of autumn go floating slowly by. I try to listen deeply to the water's sound. It helps me with these questions that go round and Oh, I need a bird's eye view. Down here in the trenches, I'm losing my perspective. Won't my feathered friends please come to my rescue? Take me on a journey full of fresh air and endless blue. Loo, la la la. Ah, la la la. A flutter of your feathers and a flash of blue. You probably feel my eyes on you. I can see you hopping from tree to tree. I envy you your freedom, and I guess you don't envy me. Oh, I need a bird's eye view. Down here in the trenches, I'm losing my perspective. Won't my feathered friends please come to my rescue? Take me on a journey full of fresh air and endless blue. Loo, la la la. Ah, la 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 la. When you've landed in the branches of your favorite tree, you're singing with your family while the sun goes down. I'm hoping you will sing a little prayer for me and send it with the sunset as it circles the world around. Loo, la la la. Oh, I need a bird's eye view. Down here in the trenches, I'm losing my perspective. Won't my feathered friends please come to my rescue? Take me on a journey full of fresh air and endless blue. Loo, la la la. Oh, I need a bird's eye view. Oh, I need a bird's eye view. Take me on a journey full of fresh air and endless blue.
And now it's our offering time. And what I like to say is we extended our offering that Reverend Sharon donated, and we only have like $185 to go. So one more week, and we're gonna do it for our beautiful Zoom and the director and everybody, so we can stay in tune with you guys. We love you. And also December 18th, well, that's past, but that's the fundraiser that's ending next week. And we have that evening a fundraiser to benefit our talents and our treasures. And please, we love you, and we appreciate everything that you bring to this community. And now, please remain muted as we say our abundance affirmation. And we take it into the week. And it's abiding by the law of circulation and our heartfelt gratitude. I affirm that I live in a creative, abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as an ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. And here's our latest news for Debt from Debbie.
Hello again. As you can see, my camera has decided to keep me spiritually humble rather than spiritually arrogant, because it's not about me. our announcements. I'd first like to turn this over to Jaime so that he can briefly introduce us to what's happening on Monday.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so last month we ended the Qigong class where we were learning different sounds and different movements. So we're going to continue with Qigong, but it will be a little bit different. I'm not going to be doing any sound. So I'll be basically teaching, I think the format would be, I'm going to be showing a couple of acupuncture points where we can do acupressure. And then I'm going to follow that with a couple of exercises that we can stimulate those points. So it will be a mix of learning acupressure points and then doing Qigong to, again, activate those points. So yeah, starting tomorrow, we'll do this new Qigong adventure for a few months. 6:30 tomorrow, the first Monday of every month. That's it.
What a gift. Thank you, Jaime. Sarah also has something on the remaining Mondays. Reverend Sarah.
Yeah, so every Monday that you're not with Jaime, come see me at 5 p.m. And I've decided that any love offering you give will go to SCSL. So I would love to see you there. It is first come, first serve. You show up in the room, and then whoever's the first person gets a healing. Everyone else receives the same healing because they're there and they're in the energy of it. You can also just watch. But it's like you're a witness to healing, and you experience it, and just by being in the room you are transformed. And I use a lot of different modalities. It's not just spiritual mind treatment, it's whatever my intuition tells me is needed in the moment. And it's awesome, and I get healed. Come just to heal me, because I get healed by you being there, and that, just do it for me. Bye.
Reverend Sarah, so it starts at 5. About how long does it go?
It just goes till 6. If somebody enters the room at 5:55 and they need a healing and it takes until 6:15, I stay on there. But usually it's 5 to 6, and you can come on, like there's people who come in at 4:45 because they want to be first in line, and then they get a healing and they're out by 5:10, so.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You can use it the way you want.
Perfect. We also have our Wisdom Wednesdays resuming in January. So January 13th and 27th, not this coming week, but the week after, we have Becca Pronchik coming back to do 2 more sessions of her combined meditation and emotional freedom techniques, her tapping practices. So join us for this powerful healing teaching. And then at the end of January, this is what I look like in case you don't know. I will be leading a vision board workshop from 10:30 to 12:30. So it'll be late morning or mid-morning. And we'll do it on Zoom. You'll bring your own supplies and be ready to powerfully manifest what you are looking for in your life. And remember that things like flowers and greenery bring a sense of abundance, so that you can have symbolic and you can have actual pictures, you can have words, you can print them from the internet, you can cut them out of magazines. Bring your own supplies and we will enjoy hanging out together on the 30th of January. Other than that, check out our website, our meetup group, and our Facebook page for what our events are. And now for our closing song.
When I rise, I will rise like a bird, joyfully. And when I fall, I will fall like a leaf, gracefully. When I rise, I will rise like a bird that soars joyfully. And when I fall, I will fall like a leaf, so gracefully.
Steeped in the wisdom of the ages, I humbly resolve to evolve. And now for our benediction, Reverend Sarah.
Hello. We have so much to be grateful for. I have received right here and right now from this service a reminder of how big our God is, and how big our consciousness is, and how big and how it is possible through the life of Ernest Holmes alone to see how we can hold on to the truth no matter what. No matter what. And I am grateful for that, because every time I see or hear of someone who does something that's impossible, then I know it's possible. And Reverend Sharon is here to constantly remind us of what is impossible that is possible. And we are about that here at this center. And so I am grateful. I am incredibly grateful for this pandemic and all that it has taught us and continues to teach us about what is real and not real. I am incredibly grateful for the chaos and division and insanity being displayed in the world and in our government right now, because it is continually waking us up to our own spiritual magnificence, the cosmic democracy in which we are constantly voting, for love, for truth, capital T truth, for capital R reality, for capital what? Capital oneness, capital O oneness, that all of us are connected. There is no separation. Any separation is false. Completely false. Thank you for awakening us to that. Thank you for bringing us into a new year where we are able to remind ourselves right here and right now that we are one, we are connected, there is a reality, there is a truth, there is a power greater than us, and it is coursing through us, and we choose to use it here and now this year.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for an amazing year. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is December 31st, 2021 now, and we have had the most amazing year ever. And in this country, in this world, and in this center, the center has grown, the center has prospered, the center has reimagined what it is to even be in the business of educating our souls. And we have remembered what it's like to be spiritual beings, having a human experience in a human body, in a human plane, and we feel amazing in these bodies. We have so much energy. We have so much joy. We have so much talent and creativity. We are co-creating constantly. Every limitation we had this year caused us to create something new, caused us to go bigger, to go better, to go more joyful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I know that this is done. This is a fact, people, that as we that this year is created in the mind of God, and it has produced. Yay. And so I, with great, great confidence in my word, which spoken with passion and authority never comes back to me void, I simply release this word into the power of the one and know that it is so. I upload it all to the 3D printer of the law, and I push print, and I await the formality of it printing in 3D reality. And so it is.
And so it is. That's awesome, Sarah.
Oh, and now it's fellow